subject is on gay marriage and how you feel about it and your stance on it. But in order to do so, we need your verbal consent on camera. Do we have your verbal consent?
Yes.
Thank you. So what do you guys feel, or how do you feel gay marriage affects society? And where do you stand with it? What do you believe in?
I believe that you should be able to marry whoever you want, and that it shouldn't matter to other people. I understand, like, when publicly, like, it kind of makes people feel awkward, but in a sense, it's their own business.
I agree. You should be able to marry who you want. And
Well, what about like the basis of a marriage? Like, it's supposed to be between a man and a woman.
that's
Yeah.
what science says. But, I mean,
Or
it
the
depends
Bible.
on what you think. You could do whatever you want.
I mean,
but-
marriage, I feel, is an agreement between two people that love each other. Not necessarily, like, I know it's in the Bible and stuff, but the Bible's more, I don't know, I hate bringing that in, but I don't know, I just feel it's an agreement between two people that love each other and that want to be together.
So when someone or people are homosexual walking down the street, you feel comfortable with them just walking and doing their own business. What if they were purposely going out of their way to make it known that they were homosexual, like trying to make other people uncomfortable with it? What do you feel about that?
That's when I dislike it, honestly. Like, if you're gay, good for you. Like, you know, you don't have to go around, like, forcing other people to believe in it or whatnot. Just kind of go about your own with it.
Okay, so if you saw that happening and someone was making you feel uncomfortable with it, would you stand up or would you just walk away and let it be?
Just walk away.
Walk away?
Yeah, I got that.
What about if it was in a school system? Do you think that it should be brought more awareness to the children in school districts, or that it should just be let it play its own course?
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
What do you think? I don't know
I'm
either.
sorry.
Like, awareness, like, they should do something about it, or...
Like, they should be aware that to some people it's considered a norm, but to other people it's considered against their religion or not towards them at all.
Yeah, I can see how it's kind of tough with, like, religion and stuff, because you can't really go against that. So, I don't really know, honestly. Not sure. That's a tough question.
Okay, so this is for our Univ210 class. It's on the subject of gay marriage. In order to conduct this interview, I need your verbal consent on camera. Do I have your verbal consent?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. What is your opinion or stance on gay marriage and how it affects society?
I think it's wrong. I think marriage should only be between like a man and a woman, and I think that if we allow gay marriage, then we would have to allow other things like what's it called? Like people getting what's the word? People having more than one.
Polygamy?
Yeah, that's the word. And it has to stop somewhere.
Okay.
So and we just can't allow that type of thing in society.
So what about equality? Don't you believe that a man and a woman should be equal? Don't you believe that they should have the same respect to be able to get married if they're in love?
I mean, this is America. I mean, they can be gay. I don't have a problem with them being gay. I mean, it's their life. They can date or do whatever they want. But I think that when it comes to marriage, it's a sacred thing and I just think that it should be between a man and a woman.
Well, if you're fine with them being gay, why? Does it bother you? Like, does it affect you in any way if they're gay?
No,
So why, if they get married, is that going to affect you?
because you take vows, and if I'm believed, you say because God is between God and two people, and I'm trying to think what's interesting. So it's between God and
The two people?
yeah.
Well, if it's between God and two people, like you say,
Yeah.
isn't that okay with it being the two people being a man and a man, or a woman and a woman? Like, why, if it doesn't affect you, is it so wrong and not maintaining the sacredness of it if it's not affecting you? Everyone, you believe in equality,
Yeah.
so shouldn't people be allowed to get married if they're homosexual, heterosexual, whatever they want? If it's not bothering you.
But as I said before, if we allow this, then we would have to allow like polygamy, and like what happens if someone hypothetically, like what happens if someone says I want to marry my dog Spike? I mean, if we allow this, then they're gonna think it's all right to marry the pet. So it has to stop somewhere.
Well, what about the pros for society with gay marriage? More children will be adopted. More children will have homes. Don't you think that will benefit
they can still
society?
adopt. I mean, they can still adopt, but I mean, I don't think you have to be married to adopt kids.
Well, don't you believe that a child needs two nurturing members and figures in their life to grow up and be able to have a normal life? To have two parent figures regardless of the sex?
Yeah, it's my aunt's gay, so
Okay.
so
you don't think-
her kids grew up perfectly fine, and she's not married to her spouse.
So you don't think that your aunt deserves to be able to marry and have that unity and family unity with her lover?
She also thinks that gays shouldn't get married. She's perfectly fine.
But what if she wanted to get married? Would you want to deny your family member that?
But she doesn't. I mean, it would be a
But
different
hypothetically,
story. Yes.
You would want to deny your family
Yes.
member that. We're recording you for our Univ210 class, and we need your verbal consent for the subject. Do we have your verbal consent?
You indeed do.
What is your opinion or your stance on gay marriage and how it affects society?
I think gay marriage should be legal. I don't believe that it affects society in a negative way necessarily. I think that has to do with the relationship that the people are having, if it's a healthy relationship or not. But from a legal standpoint, I think that anybody should be allowed to marry whoever they want. I also don't believe that it should be impressed upon religious groups, but by a social level, it should definitely be legal.
When you talk about religious groups, don't you think that affects the religious people? Like,
I think if a religious group is testifying against gay marriage in a hate speech kind of way, or protesting any sort of peaceful sort of marriage ceremony, I think that they're obviously not really in line with what they're really preaching or believing. So in that case, I think that that the religious group is actually the one affecting society. But if they hold true to the whole idea of love within religion and some sort of, higher authority to really judge them, then they really shouldn't be having a problem with it, and it shouldn't affect society.
well, with religion, it's part of the constitution of marriage is for religious people, it's between God, a man, and a woman. So isn't being gay going against that?
I think that from a religious standpoint, there's a lot of, I've actually done the reading on the scriptures and things like that, and God does throw out in Corinthians the sort of thing of love is this, that, and the other thing. And they're all good things, and I think that if you have that within a relationship, you should be okay. It's not for us to judge man or woman, because at this point, I'm not necessarily very strict on religious things, but I think that, it's not your job to judge who gets to be married or who doesn't, especially when it's a legal thing. You can define marriage however you want if you're in a private religious group. If you're a Satanist, you can define it as, killing your spouse or whatever. Obviously, you're going to get arrested for it, but that's for the law to decide. But just getting married to somebody, if you define it differently, you shouldn't be able to encroach on somebody else's definition of it if it's not affecting you at a personal level.
Well, marriage came out as a religious thing. Like, marriage is a religious thing. So if being gay or homosexual goes against that, why should they be allowed to be married if it's going against religion?
Well, certain diets also arose from different religious ideas, and people still diet in other ways. I'm not going to judge somebody for, eating meat or being vegetarian if the Bible says to only be kosher. If you look at the Old Testament, that's what it says, and it gives out rules for that, and then it changes them later on in the New Testament. Things consistently have a progress to them, and because from a religious standpoint, a marriage ceremony is very different from your actual ceremony at the court when you get your marriage license. That's why I think that it's okay to separate them, because from a religious definition, it's okay to really not be with gay marriage, but from a judicial standpoint, the joining of healthcare, the joining of having benefits from your job to give to this other person, I don't think that religion has any leeway to kind of say, okay, you can't give this person who you care about, who you have a healthy relationship with, you can't give them any sort of benefits or any help from your side of the family. I don't think that's legal.
Okay, thank you for your
Awesome.
opinion.
Yeah.
Ain't the type for listening, and they sure ain't never gonna learn.